Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Shereen Naser. Dr. Naser is an educational researcher and community organizer. She is a Palestinian from the city of Birzeit and is the daughter of Nassib Zaki Naser and May Adib Aramki. So without further ado, here's Dr. Naser.
I feel very strange turning my back to people.
It's an Arab thing.
Yeah, it feels very weird. I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes so I don't go over. Usually I prepare something, and I don't know who thought to give me a mic today. I apologize in advance. I'm going to speak a little bit differently than other folks. I want to talk about grief. I think that is important for us because this moment is deeply emotional. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit, I'm going to get a little vulnerable with y'all and tell you a little bit about a personal story. I am no stranger to grief. Grief is very familiar to me. I lost my mom when I was 7 years old. I lost my grandfather when I was 14. I'm one of 8 kids. I lost a sister. She was 8 years old in 2016, and I lost my youngest sibling, my brother, in 2021. Grief is very common for many Palestinians. But one thing I have noticed, grief is love with nowhere left to go. Grief is love unspent. I remember when my mom died, my father's family and my mother's family at the time were beefing. They were fighting, as many Arab families do. But when my mother passed, there was no more of that. Everyone came together. And I remember I was young and I just remember thinking, wow, it's so nice to have everybody here together. When my grandfather died, there was beef in my family, and everyone came together and sat at the same table and ate together, and there was none of it. And I remember thinking, this is really nice. I wonder why my grandfather had to die for this to happen. When my sister died, my mom and her sister were fighting, and she came to our house and she cooked us dinner every night and took care of my mom like they had never fought before. And I remember thinking, it's so sad my sister had to die for them to be able to do this with each other. And at the time, my sister was very sick. She was in the hospital for a long time, and her nurse, who took care of her day and night, was a gay woman. She was a lesbian. And my family struggled with that. But my mom held her hands, and she said, we love you. It doesn't matter. We love you. Thank you for taking care of our kids. And I remember thinking, damn, where was this love in my parents before? Why did it take my sister dying for them to hold the hands of someone maybe they don't agree with? When my brother passed away, we had family come from all over the country that we hadn't seen in many years, and I remember thinking, damn, I wonder why it took so long for them to come visit. When Tamir Rice died and people stormed into the streets, I remember thinking, damn, I wonder why this young kid had to die for people to stand in the streets and say, what the fuck? When trans kids started killing themselves because of the bullying and people started talking about it in my educational community and research, and I said, damn, I wonder why it took these trans kids having to take their lives for people to listen to these kids saying, hey, I'm being bullied and it hurts. And now I'm sitting here wondering why it took us holding our dead children up on screens, thousands of dead children, for the world to suddenly turn around and say, oh man, this is really fucked up. But grief is love unspent. Grief is love with nowhere left to go, and I look around this room and I see all of your gorgeous faces. And if that's what it took for us to get together, then so be it. But my charge to each person in this room is that there not be another dead kid on our screens in any of our communities. Not one more dead child held up in our faces for us to feel like we can get up and do something. I wish I was asked to say something positive and something with solutions, and if I feel like if I had the solution, we wouldn't be in this mess, and I'd be maybe very rich, I don't know. But I look around and I do see hope. I do see hope that we are all together. When I was at the march in DC, I'd been to the Women's March, and I remember looking around being like, this place is very white. But I went to the March for Palestine, and I remember looking around and saying, every single community is represented here. I sat on the train with people on the ride in who were disability justice activists with keffiyehs and Palestinian flags. I stood in front and I watched that stage. I watched Macklemore get on stage, y'all. I watched not one, not two, but three people from the indigenous community here get on that stage and speak, moms holding children on their hip. I got up and I watched not one, not two, not five, but 6 Black people come on that stage and say, we are with you. The way you were with Angela Davis, the way we will be with you from now as we all fight our oppressor. I remember looking around and saying this. I was sitting, and actually the whole row in front of me was people who were deaf, so they could see the person signing, and there were like 50 people in front of me. That is the world I want to live in.
Yes.
That is the world I want to raise my kids in. And if it took thousands of dead Palestinian children for us to create that world together, then the sacrifice is worth it. But again, not one more dead children before we keep this work going. I'm gonna leave there. Thank you.
Yeah, it was something. I have to comment too. I was in DC also. I'm sure there were many other people in this room, and it was really very inspiring to see so many different kinds of people from all different walks of life. You know, you had queer Palestinians there, you had people, you know, Algerian flags, Georgian flags, Armenian flags, Vietnamese, Sahrawi Republic, yes. You had all different kinds of people, all different political groups, liberal, communist, socialist, even a few libertarians I spoke to. So really, it was great to see everybody coming together to defend Palestine. One more comment. This was something that came to my mind when I was introducing Dr. Naser, but you know, her family comes from the city of Birzeit, which is a well-known city in Palestine. There's a well-known university there, and just to give some information to people who may not have heard, this university during this current last month of war was raided by the Israeli occupation forces, and they did damage some of their equipment, some of their databases, some of their archives. It's in the West Bank, it's not in Gaza. So when I saw the name of the city, I just thought I had to share this information to people who may not be aware.